Good morning and welcome to Galactic Soul Healing. Today I have a topic to help people move into a more spiritual way of being. So if you are at that stage or in a phase in your life where you just feel like there's something missing, that you want to have more fulfillment, perhaps you're running that treadmill, super busy, don't have time to kind of really kick back and go into your own being and find out what your soul is about, okay? This reading may help. Now, I have been just reading this last week and a half, looking at and listening to various speakers from different yogic traditions, so and also looking at different philosophies. So for instance, Ramakrishna, okay, if you go on YouTube you could actually look I do recommend researching into these types of things just to get a bit of an overview. Basically what I've got here, okay, is taken from that, so I'm not claiming to be the orchestrator of that, okay, so I'm not taking credit for this arrangement, okay. So basically, especially if you research, look at on YouTube, go into the Vedanta Society of New York, okay, there's a really great Swami there who speaks of all these different aspects of different paths, yogic paths that we can use in order to come into union with God, okay. There's another, you can also research Insights from the Master, and I've forgotten what his actual formal name is, but pop that in YouTube, Insights from the Master, and there's some beautiful, from Bhakti Yoga, there's some beautiful ideas that come through there from that master as well. You could also look at, pop in the search, getting some information on the life of Swami Vivekananda, some of his enlightenment experiences. Look at Ramakrishna, and there's many others. You know, you can really just get an idea of, and the more you go into it, the more you kind of go, yeah, in the West we have kind of missed out to some degree, depending on what your upbringing has been. It would be really nice to kind of have this in our upbringing, okay. So the Vedanta Society of New York actually uses this kind of formula. So basically these four aspects individually on their own can be a path towards union with God, but what they're suggesting is that at the start, even initially, if you're starting out on your spiritual journey, is to look at all these four aspects and try and get them all going in your life. Now, obviously, these four aspects are manifest in the life of an ashram or in a monastery or things like that as well. But they're also saying that, and I'm a definite advocate of this, is that, you know, we can actually implement these in our Western lives, which is really exciting. Yeah, and that's, you know, I feel like I'm here to really push that message forward as well. So now, so at the top here we have Jnana, which is, I think it can be pronounced Dana as well. There's different pronunciations. Jnana, Raja, Karma, and Bhakti. Okay. Now, the masters and the swamis will probably describe them as Jnana Yoga, Raja Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Okay. Yoga means union, so it makes sense that if you want to come into union with God, you can use that path. But they're strongly suggesting, and I strongly suggest as well, that when we first start out on a spiritual journey, we have many layers of different things, and it's more balanced and more effective to actually try and implementing these things, all four things in your life, because as time goes on, you will go deeper and deeper into those layers, and it's sort of like there'll be layers. Okay. that you will work through, and different phases that you'll go through within each of these areas. Okay, so let's just talk about them briefly, and then we'll do a spread, because I want to get we'll get some visuals on how we can what we need to perhaps ways we can manifest them in our lives, things that we need to look out for, and just some little hints and tips that we can use. Right, so the jhana or dana aspect is about the intellectual mind. So it's about using the mind, forming philosophies, having an understanding of where you fit in the big picture, but also, I guess, having an understanding of, or a conceptual understanding of, what it means to be a human being. So, for instance, things like our past lives, and galactic lives previous, is that a reality? Okay, so having an understanding of that. So it's about your own personal cosmology, where you understand that you fit in that. And you might also put education in there. There's particularly psychoeducation, so that's looking at, you might look into the unconscious mind. Okay, but then that ultimately does sort of feed into Raja Yoga, which is meditation and mindfulness. Okay, so they all do work together pretty well, but just for explanation's sake, we're going to separate them for now. So that's so for instance, an example of that might be a religious belief system, where there's a certain cosmology and understanding concepts of where humans fit, where God and source is, and things like that. Okay, or there might be and a different take on that would be, say, if you're a yogic or a Buddhic yogically oriented. Okay, you have a slightly different approach and understanding of conceptually what's going on and where you fit. Okay, so it's saying explore that, look into that, talk to people about it. Even, because this is the thing about phases too. Some people move through different religious belief systems. They might move through different approaches to life. Okay, and that's fine. It's awesome. It's all part of learning. Okay, and the next one we have here is the Raja, which is about Raja Yoga. It's about coming into union with Source via your meditation, mindfulness, and really cultivating that stillness and peacefulness. Okay, and the breath comes into that as well. Okay, even some of the physical yoga practices are used for that, and I forgot to put a word in there, which was focus. Focusing. Now, different people come to a point of focus in different ways. So some of us, if we have very active mentally, we might actually have to go and do something physical first to kind of release a bit of energy to relax and calm down. So that will really help us to be still. Okay. Some people that are very active naturally, they might not need to do that, but they might need to just go and do something that's calming for the mind. Perhaps put on some relaxing music, or have a massage or something like that in order to help them to come into stillness. Okay. You have to be pretty adept to actually go from driving around in your car, getting home from work, bang, and sitting down and going into really deep stillness meditation. It's very hard. Of course it's hard. But we need to be gentle with it and just kind of set situations up, allow ourselves enough time to go into that. And you can see how those Jnana and Raja do complement each other. Okay, because sometimes if you don't find you have time to think about that philosophy, you might actually need to go into some relaxation, deep meditation, that type of thing. I think I'm going to sneeze, excuse me. Sorry about that. So the next one we have here, actually let's jump over to Bhakti. Now Bhakti is probably more easily understood, or more probably well, I heard one of the Swamis use the word more popular, because that's about the love and devotion, okay, for God. And it's also, through prayer and gratitude, and we can also implement that daily into our spiritual practice. Now you can see that these two are related here, because basically sometimes we need to make efforts to get our environment, put ourselves in an environment where we're going to be able to relax and be still, so that we can actually then start to operate in a realm of prayer, okay, and gratitude and love and joy. Okay. The other thing about Bhakti too, this love and joy, is also about doing things that bring you joy. It's about giving yourself permission to do those things. Okay. And here in the middle, actually I forgot to say, we'll drop to karma in a second. In the middle we have all these things as synonymous. Okay. God, source, light, unconditional love, peace and bliss. So like I said, all of these things, either individually or in combination, is a pathway to being more in alignment with that light source. Now karma, people can't understand karma is about, if we did something bad in a past life, we're kind of paying for it in this life. And what we do in this life will affect our next life. Okay. And it's also about service to others. So it's about action. So it's about the power of our actions. Okay. And also, as you've got relationships in there, karma is that aspect that is talking about our interaction with the world. Okay, how we interact, how we give and share what we have come here to give and share. Okay. Bhakti, prayer, gratitude and love, jnana and meditation, they can probably be predominantly done inwardly. Okay, but the karma is about the outward. Okay, you've got all this happening. Now how are you going to interact with that? But sometimes, of course, there's different layers. So what you're dealing with here, you then put into action. That will then be tested in a way. You will be observing and seeing and feeling and thinking about how is that going? Is that working? Okay. Then if things aren't working, you come back in again to the inward. Goes back in again. But you might also like to do some philosophy. You might like to get some more input. You might like to discuss things. This is often why people go to counsellors and have therapy, because basically what they're trying to do in life is not working. And so they go into, and often a good counsellor will help people with their philosophy, their basic core beliefs and values. You know what I mean? That's another thing we can put up in there. We've got values and beliefs here. Okay. Now, obviously, and so with counselling, that can help. Now, obviously, with each of these aspects, I have just given an extremely touched tip of the iceberg, if you could call it that, of what they're about. And maybe even a couple of things I've said may be slightly incorrect, because I'm not proclaiming to be an expert in any of these fields. Okay, I've just simply found that these 4 aspects have been included in a philosophy, a yogic philosophy of spiritual development, and it totally resonated with me. And I went, you know what? I think in some strange way I've kind of been doing that in my life anyway, and many of you have probably been doing that anyway as well. But it can be just a little bit of a it was a little bit of a wake-up call for me, because I just went, you know what, this karma thing here, that does feel, that's been quite difficult for me. Okay. And yeah, I've kind of comfortable with Bhakti, comfortable with Raja. The Jnana, that's taken a long time because I've tried to try different things, okay, but that's a little bit more settled now. But this one here, and you know, a lot of us find this really challenging, the karma. But one really beautiful way to look at it is that, especially with the Vedanta approach, understanding of philosophy, is that this Brahma or light within is within all of us, and when we are being with another person, we are literally being with Brahma, or we are actually being with the light. We're in presence of that, and so we have then automatically more compassion. Okay, and it's just going to put in here compassion. Because our karmic activities, or our dharma, I think is another way of explaining it, is that it's really our opportunity to develop, because if that is uncomfortable for us, okay, that's when we need to grow. Okay, and one of the Swamis actually mentioned that in one of these talks that I listened to as well, and I think that's bang on. So it might be, you know, and this is the area of work as well. So if you have a work or a job, you know, this is service work, you know, so it's a different way to kind of view your work. But the other thing too is some people just do work, and they come home and they don't really do anything else. And my little thing that I just want to pop in here is that if we focus on this a lot and we're not doing this stuff, that's what can sort of push us into depression, resentment and exhaustion, you know, because we really feel like it's really hard yakka, and it is for our soul, because we're not feeding it enough with these other things that are really awesome and will just lift the whole vibration of that. So that's what I'm going to suggest, is that we start looking at moving into these other three, Bhakti, Jnana and Raja, and you will find that you will feel better in your work as you do your karma or your dharma. Okay. Yeah. Right. So that was kind of like an introduction, or a bit of grounding. Just a bit of background. So now we're just going to move into the cards. So sorry, we have the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, and some of these images are just great. Let me just shuffle, and I'll pop that down while I'm shuffling. So let's just right. Sorry. I'm just going to get these organised. And I mean, this is a galactic soul healing channel as well, so I'd just like to also pop in there that you know, if part of your philosophy is that, you know, we are moving into 4D and 5D and we are ascending, you know, that's perfectly fine, because in doing that we are raising our consciousness, and the process of raising our consciousness means that we're moving into this. We are literally moving into that center in 5D, and 4D is more, it's the beginnings of it happening, okay? And so that's why I put that in there, because it's all linked in, okay? So this is beautiful Dreams of Gaia Tarot, and the reason that we like to get visuals, so I believe in the visuals, is that it just kind of helps the subconscious to take on board the ideas and to just make little shifts a bit more so than if we just spoke about it alone. Okay, this is yeah, the subconscious tends to process things in images. When we dream at night, we go into the subconscious realms, obviously. And yeah, the other thing about union too is this is sorry, this was the one I just shuffled. It was the Starseed Oracle. Okay. Next one, last one, is the Keepers of Light. Okay. So the thing about union, and I have always been speaking about mind, body, spirit. The physical practice of yoga itself, as in the exercises and asanas, okay, that also combine breath work and things like that, that's also going to be really useful, okay, and it will definitely help you with Raja, relaxation and mindfulness, and yeah, and when we have more peacefulness and relaxation, often that, and more awareness, okay, the mindfulness is the awareness, and let me just pop that up there, because we want to be doing things with awareness, folks. Focus and awareness. Okay, that's also going to feed into here when we are working, when we have relationships, because the more peace we feel inside, the more it is that we are going to act in response to other people rather than reaction, which is more abrupt and harsh and more triggered, more unconscious. Okay, we want to be making conscious choices about how we respond to what someone is sending towards us. Okay, to be able to go, I can consciously choose how I'm going to respond to that, is better than reacting straight off. Okay, that's acting from a unconscious, subconscious pattern that may or may not be functional. Okay, it's more often than not when we react in a negative way, of course, it's more coming from a point of dysfunction. Okay, so let's just quickly finish shuffling the Keepers of Light here. Yeah, so you can see how all of those four areas interact with each other. Let's just say a quick prayer. I'm just going to have a quick drink of water. Okay, Spirit, I'd just like to call in any ascended masters, spirit guides, light beings, and archangels that can assist us today with the giving of information and the receiving. I'm just really grateful for your assistance at this time, as we need all the high frequency help that we can avail ourselves of. And yeah, I'd just like to thank you in advance for your assistance and peace and love and support and your guidance as well. Okay, so let's cut the cards. And we are going to do 4 stacks. So we'll start with Jnana. We might go Jnana, Bhakti, Raja, Karma. So we will go Jnana, Bhakti, Raja, Karma. Jnana, Bhakti, Raja, Karma. Jnana, Bhakti, Raja, Karma, which is essentially understanding, love, peacefulness, and service we have here. Okay, so let me just remove these. And that. Okay, now I'm just pulling these out. Okay, so if we need to flick back up to that, we can. Okay, right. Okay, let's start with Jnana, which is the philosophy or knowledge. Now, that is the one of water. Okay, now water is an element of flow. Okay, it's an element of flow. And that is a dragon there, which is kind of awesome. That is also there's a light at the throat chakra here, and the throat chakra is about speaking your truth. So Jnana is about the aims, or the thing that you're directing your philosophy towards, is that you are exploring and what your personal truth is. What is truth for you? Okay, how can you be true to yourself? Okay, and that colour blue is also really great because it's conducive to calm and focus also. So you can kind of use that image almost as a way to just go into a nice relaxation. But also this dragon type figure, dragon's actually really powerful. And I've done a bit of galactic astrology, and I don't know, I mean, I know we have reptilian beings in the Milky Way galaxy, but I think in other galaxies there may well been more like dragon type beings, like really powerful. Okay, so this is also a wisdom, ancient wisdom. Okay, and it's also saying that if you are meditating, you actually have ancient wisdom within you, because you already have many past lives and galactic lives. So the soul is actually multifaceted and multidimensional. So you can actually you actually have a lot of wisdom within you. You already have a lot of understanding. You might not feel it, but if you can give yourself a chance to calm, tap into that, have a little dialogue with, you know, your higher self, you know, and just you know, sometimes there are those times when you sort of think, oh, people don't really understand me. I actually do know a lot about that subject, but, you know, I don't feel, you know, if I started talking about it, people wouldn't kind of like it, most likely. But, you know, sometimes our wisdom is that thing that we repress. It goes into our golden shadow because we don't feel like it's, that people would accept it. But the thing is, you can still tap into that and maybe start to do some writing. Just write out, you know, write your wisdom out. Okay, because that's going to contribute to your philosophy, your understanding. Okay, that's also going to help you to tap into your truth and what your soul is about. Okay, this is a really awesome card. I just really love that blue. It's so calming. But that dragon is just, this is spot on. Can't believe it. And dragons can be awesome spirit guides as well. Wow, let's go to the next one. Oh, wow, lovely. Mother Mary, that's gorgeous. Love and peace. Now, it would seem that it would make more sense if Mary was in the Bhakti. But she has come up in the Jnana, which is the more the intellect area, okay, understanding, forming your personal truth. Interestingly enough, she's wearing blue. Once again, throat chakra, personal truth, okay. If you can't express it with others, express it for yourself first of all. Start to write, even start to talk. You can do what I'm doing now even, which is make a video. You don't have to actually put your videos on YouTube. You can just make a video and express out, speak what you are, what your thoughts are. What is your wisdom? Everyone has some. A lot, probably. So the other, underneath the card here, it says, let go of the need to be right, choose peace. Mother healing is possible at this time. So, it's just a little warning there to just remember, if you're going into your thoughts and forming your philosophy, just be careful to not get on that little egotistical bandwagon where you go around and start telling people this is the truth. My truth is the truth and yours doesn't hold up. Okay, this is really awesome that that's in here. So it's saying, don't be, if you have knowledge and wisdom, don't be egotistical with it. You can present it and share it, but allow people to make their own decisions, and don't judge people if they decide something that's different from what you're talking about. Okay? Who are you to judge? Which is literally what it's saying here. Don't be a narcissist. Don't think that you're always right. What you have to work out is what is right for you. Because what is right for you may not be right for someone else. Okay? This is part and parcel of having unconditional care and love and appreciation for others. Because if we only like people because they agree with what we're saying, okay, that's a conditional love, isn't it? Okay, I'll only like you on the condition that you agree and follow me and take on what my truth is because I think that that's what you should do. No. Unconditional. So even holding knowledge and wisdom, do it with unconditional love and understanding. But be really strong about what your personal truth is. Okay, that's fine. You can still have a really powerful message to share, because what happens is that people that resonate with it will utilize it, but people that don't resonate with it, they might not utilize it at that time or any time, and that's fine. We can't judge people for not taking on what we are doing. And also, just remember that some people won't necessarily understand what you're doing or why you're doing it, or even what your beliefs are. Okay, you might have some ideas that are quite different to those that you live with or that you have relationships with. Okay, your cosmology might be quite different. And it is an act of compassion to just accept that they're not on board with it, or they can't understand it, okay, and that's fine. You really just do then have to then turn love and peace towards yourself, okay? Just because you have something different or you believe something different, try not to put yourself down if other people around you aren't agreeing with that. And that's a really hard one, because often we want to be loved and accepted by people around us, okay? And often we compromise ourselves in order for that to happen. but that's not really being loving to yourself, and it's certainly not allowing you to, you know, be your truth, okay? And of course, do everything with love and gentleness, okay? Sometimes it is better to just, if people around you don't agree with it, try not to get into arguments about, you know, my way is the truth, and, you know, why don't you understand, and, you know, just love yourself, okay? And perhaps find some other people that are on a similar page or similar beliefs, okay? And that's fine. This one is Lost Lands. Oh, wow, let's read underneath. Soul, memories and gifts. You've done this before. People. This is what we were just saying about this wisdom. I can't believe this is so awesome. Thank you, Spirit. Look, like I've said, you actually have more wisdom and ancient knowledge within you. See, you've done this before. Whether it's Bhakti, Raja, Karma, or Jnana. And your goal in life is to really find out. Perhaps you might like to find out where your strengths are. So you might be, look, I'm really into meditation, but this thing about work and being in the world with people, not so good. Okay, so that means start then moving into Bhakti. Where can you go, or who can you be with that makes you feel loved and supported? You might need to see a counsellor, and that's fine. And Jnana, what's your philosophy? Start really acknowledging your intellect, okay? And also, if you are doing meditation into you know, past lives, or even in your family of origin, you might like to look into your childhood. Was there any dysfunctional patterns going on there? Did you feel safe as a child? Did you feel loved? You know, all that sort of stuff. Because this is soul memories and gifts. Because believe it or not, sometimes when we are born into challenging situations, that can actually mean that we're actually quite strong spiritually, because we put ourselves in a particular test situation to see how we're going to use these things to pull ourselves through and get back to this peace, love and bliss. Okay, it can be done. But you know, it's not easy, but layers and time. These layers, so you might move through these in layers, okay? But isn't this awesome how this is all blue, blue, blue? And that is about truth, you know, true blue. You could almost be that. It's a little catchphrase for our Jnana box up there. Be true blue to you, you know. Do it with love and peace. Don't forget you have inner wisdom, and this is about past lives and soul gifts, that if you start meditating on that, give yourself time to go into some Raja here, some time out, and, you know, do some research, maybe like, yeah, do some reading, okay? You might like to look up different transpersonal and even some shamanic, it's more transpersonal actually, transpersonal psychology, okay? Read up on that. And also Carl Jung, look into some subconscious stuff, okay? So this is you might need to start doing some psychoeducation, and then branch out into other areas where you feel guided. But you know, these are awesome. And Mother Mary, if you are feeling overwhelmed with all that stuff, just, you know, call on her for some guidance. And certainly dragon spirit guides will be quite good for helping you to tap into your inner power, okay? And this picture here Yeah, that's just awesome. You might like to even look into ancient civilizations like Atlantis and Lemuria. Read some books on Edgar Cayce, Dolores Cannon. Look, there's a whole lot of stuff that you can read to get into that your ancient origins. Okay. Yep, that is cool. So we were going to put the Jnana stack here, and that's all part of you forming your understanding of where you fit, the expansiveness of your soul, okay, and just what you already have, which is a lot. Okay, let's go Bhakti. So this one on here. So now we're almost going to do the opposite. So we're going into the love and devotion. It's not opposite, but so here we have, and this is quite apt. This is that is a fire card, fire element. Oh wow, it's masculine and feminine. That is fantastic. Hopefully that's clear. You can see that. That says masculine and feminine. So that is our divine masculine and divine feminine. And part and parcel of prayer, gratitude, love and joy is we also start to acknowledge those aspects of ourselves, because when they come into union together within ourselves, we are more like our true soul essence, and we are even more in union with God's source, light and love and bliss. Right, let's look at, is this Mintaka? Oh wow, the seeds of Mintaka, seeing potential, bringing unconsciousness to light. Wow, that's just a gorgeous image. So unconscious. Sometimes if you have had a tough upbringing, you don't feel loved. Okay, sometimes you can feel like there's a bit of a hole in your heart, like what is this love and joy thing? Right. What you may need to do a little phase of exploring that, but then really just try and, focus on prayer, asking for assistance, do things that make you feel happy and joyful, okay, be around people that give you positive lift, okay, bringing unconsciousness to light. That is about being aware of where you're at with your heart chakra, really, in terms of Bhakti, okay. So you might come to realization that a lot of your behaviors and actions and the way you respond to people might not be terribly loving or caring, and you may also realize that you are not actually being really loving towards yourself, and that's probably the more common one. Often people, they have an easy time of caring for others, but when it comes to looking after themselves, not so easy. So this is about what are the unconscious mechanisms that you can identify that are causing you to self-negate and not look after yourself. Maybe you're overly harsh on yourself, you're overly critical on yourself. We want to bring those things out and trying to be honest, because if you can move and shift some of that stuff, clear it if there's some trauma or dysfunction that's holding you in those patterns, okay, if you can release it even energetically, do some quantum healing. You might want to look at Melanie Tonya Evans' quantum healing technique. It's about trauma release. Then, because sometimes the light and love can come in more easily, or you will sense it more easily, because sometimes that light within us can be clouded by a lot of heavy energies, okay, aka